Hello and welcome to Unsourced Wall. My name is Elvis, and as always, I'm your host. Alright, so this is going to be a really short one. There's not a lot to talk about at all, like maybe one news topic and a Roman review. So we're going to get right through it. It's going to take like a handful of minutes. But first off, let's start off with the news I want to talk about, which is that we finally have more Jupiter's Legacy news. It's been like 3 years, but it's finally arrived. We have the first full preview-laden announcement for Jupiter's Requiem. We have cover art, we have artist announcement, we have preview pages. It's amazing. It's been retitled because Mark Millar is a synergy chasing kind of hack at times to Jupiter's Legacy Requiem, which is a really awkward title because you have Jupiter's Legacy, Jupiter's Circle, and now Jupiter's Legacy Requiem. What is Circle going to be retitled? Jupiter's Legacy Circle? Or it's ridiculous, and it's obviously him trying to like tie it way more into the upcoming Netflix show through brand like recognition, and that's kind of lame. Even Frank Quietly, who has a new Twitter account just to promote this kind of stuff, recognized that the title is Jupiter's Requiem. So I'm gonna be calling it that from here till the end of time. It looks awesome. Frank is still doing the cover art, and he knocks it out of the park. It looks incredible. But the actual artist for the main ongoing is going to be Tommy Lee Edwards, which is great because I know a lot of people were hoping it would be Frank Quietly, and I have no qualms with that at all. But I would have liked, and I'm glad that each segment of this trilogy is going to be having its own distinct art style. Like, that's incredible, and I'm glad that's, coming to fruition here. Tommy Lee Edwards, I think, is a great choice. I would have preferred like Hitch or something, but Edwards at least has some history, and with Mark Millar, with like Marvel 1985, which I think is pretty fitting given that 1985 was one of Millar's first attempts to say something big about comics, and that's also what he's trying to do here. So that's fun. The preview art and pages, they're fully colored, they're lettered, so there's some story in there, and it looks like he's going to be trying to bring the framework back around to some of the beats we learned in Jupiter's Circle. So that's actually really exciting. Hopefully it lands the ending. It's going to be a full 12 issues, which is, I think, more than any other maxi series or parts in this trilogy, so fingers crossed. And speaking of Jupiter's Legacy, we actually do have a full reveal trailer for the Netflix show, showcasing, stills and promo shots for the upcoming show. And it looks really bad. I think the actors look bad. I think that the aesthetic looks terrible, and it just seems to be really missing the heart of the show. According to Millar and other sources, the show's going to be focusing on the older generation, which I think is either a misdirect or a complete misapprehension of the story, because it's Chloe and Hutch's and their son's story, and it just seems like we're wasting too much time on characters that don't really matter that much, or at least they don't matter now, but they matter in like the prequel Jupiter's Circle. So a little iffy on that. Hopefully it turns out good and blows my expectations, but a lot of these pictures and screenshots just don't look good at all. Fingers crossed. Let's move on to what I read this week. First off, we have Hellions number 10. And this is still a vast improvement over like the entirety of the first couple of arcs of this series. It's incredible. I'm really enjoying this series now. It's got everything that it learned and held over from X of Swords, but also actually introducing really fun, like dramatic stakes and exciting, entertaining villains. Now, I know a lot of people are like curious as to like, Arcade is an entertaining villain, but I think that he works perfectly in this setting and in this premise where you have like these really manic asshole-ish personalities kind of butting heads. I think that's actually really excellent. It really does add to the flavor and to like the kind of staunch stoicness of its intention toward just being really degenerate and really kind of madcap. I know I use the word a lot, but that's what this issue really is. Arcade and schemes and schemes and all these really broad, really sort of intense personalities and characters just going at it. And it makes for an exciting read, makes for an entertaining read, makes for a fun read, but also is slightly more intense and more emotionally kind of compact than it ever has been. And I'm actually getting really engaged at this point. So it's great. I think they're doing like a wonderful job here. 2 thumbs up. Can't wait for more. And let's move on to what I watched this week. It's WandaVision number 8. Yeah, pretty sure it's number 8 this time. And it's still just really bad. What we get this episode is basically a clip show about Wanda, except it doesn't really tell us anything that we didn't already know, which I know is what clip shows usually do. But this episode is trying to illuminate more of her character, more of her motivations, more of her personality, more of the relationship with Vision. But it's really bad doing that because all it is kind of like highlighting stuff that were already exposited or trying to force like character beats that just don't feel natural given that we've already seen the movies that they would have been congruent or kind of tangential with. And so that doesn't really pan out. And it just seems like a waste of an episode because doesn't matter. It doesn't add any kind of depth to the show. It doesn't add any depth to the characters. There's a couple of lines here and there that I think are really impactful, that are really kind of fun. And I think it shows some care here. But you're at the tail end of an entire season dedicated toward the character development and arc of a single character. It's kind of too little too late, So overall, one thumb down, one thumb middle. Can't wait for this to be over, honestly. Also, we have some breaking news, which is that the Snyder Cut has released 6 of its 7 chapter titles because it's going to be 6 chapters and 1 epilogue. So they released the titles for the first 6 parts of the 4-hour-long movie. And they're pretty okay titles. Some of them are very obvious if you've seen the actual cut already. And some of them are a little bit esoteric, but like in a really dumb way where you can just kind of guess what they're meaning. I am kind of curious as to why they held back on the epilogue title. I have my own guesses about that. I think it's probably because Zack Snyder has confirmed that the ending is going to be kind of a shock, and probably trying to keep that like on the down low. But overall, can't wait. It's 2 weeks away, so fingers crossed. Anyway, that's it for this week. As I said, it's going to be a short one, but I want to say thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great weekend, and see you again next time. I want to give a shout out to the cover artist for this show at DOT EMCE. Please check them out. They're amazing. And yeah, have a good one, and see you again.